Hello everyone and welcome back. This time we will be discussing the different types of in-text citation, specifically what we call the parenthetical and narrative citation. And we will be using Tagalog and English during this discussion. We will be including and starting with the definition of parenthetical and narrative to be able to differentiate the two, and then we will be presenting the importance of these citations in your research writing process or in your manuscript, and then we will be presenting examples of the parenthetical and narrative citation, not only the format but also on how and where you should use this in your manuscript. So stay tuned for that. So let's start with the definition of parenthetical and narrative citation. So as mentioned earlier, there are two types of in-text citation in the APA format, and these are parenthetical and narrative citation. So by definition, parenthetical citations include the author's surname, that's one, and the date of publication, which are both within or located within a parenthesis. So in our example, this is what we call the parenthetical citation. So let us put a label on this, parenthetical. Okay, and then going on to our next definition, which is the narrative citation, and this is defined as part of your manuscript. This citation is part of your manuscript intertwined in the initial discussion, in the initial sentence of your discussion, where the author's surname is presented initially. Pinapakita muna yung apelyido ng author na sinasite ninyo, and the date of publication in a parenthesis. The date of the publication is the only one located in the parenthesis, and this is what we call, or the example of what we call, the narrative citation. So again, let's put a label on this, marking this as an example of our narrative citation. So basically, these are the different format of citation according to the specific in-text citation that we are discussing. So pag ang pinag-usapan natin, parenthetical, this is the format used in the manuscript. And when we talk about narrative, this is the format used in the narrative citation. So let us discuss the importance of these citations in your research writing process. So number one, it identifies the source of information or ideas. Why do we need to identify the source? Yung pinanggalingan, yung gumawa. Okay? So number one is to give credit. Number one is to give credit to the writer or the author of the reference. You give credit in order to avoid plagiarism. So it is very important that everything that you put in your manuscript should be cited properly so that it will not be mistaken as your work. Para hindi masabi na kiniklaim nyo yung work na yon at kayo ang nagsabi nun, you need to cite, you need to give credit, you need to identify kung saan nanggaling yung mga ideas na present ninyo sa inyong manuscript. Okay, so basically that's the first importance. Number two, this is still related to the concept that I presented in relation to giving credit and to avoiding plagiarism. So kapag sinabi natin doon sa number 2, naming the author and the date of the work that you are citing. So when you present the surname of the author, the full name of the author in the reference, you are giving credit. And aside from that, when you also present the parenthetical and narrative citation, inilalagay nyo din pati yung year kung kailan ito na-publish. And because of this, you are trying to present the relevance of the citation. Is it still relevant in our present day? Not only related, but also its relevance. Hindi nyo lang ipinapakita na pwede siyang gamitin ngayon dahil up to date siya, hindi lang siya related doon sa topic na dinidiscuss ninyo. So we have rules when it comes to choosing citations or references. And what is this rule? I call it the 5-year rule. So let's use this. The 5-year rule is as simple as subtracting the current year to 5, and then you will be getting the range of years that your reference can be considered as valid depending on the type of research that you are conducting. If you are conducting a historical research, hindi relevant na bago o hindi kailangan bago yung mga references ninyo. If your research is literature-based, hindi kailangan bago ang references ninyo. Okay? So again, this rule depends on the type of research that you will be conducting. So example, if the year or the current year, example, if the current year is 2020, so you subtract 5 to 2020, and then after that, you will be getting 2020 to 2015. Okay, so this will be the range of the references, the year of the references that you should target when you are writing your research paper. Okay, so that is the how you use the 5-year rule. Okay, so this is just 5-year rule. Okay, next, number 3, it helps the reader locate. It helps the reader locate the entry in the reference list. So when you face your panel during the defense, for every reference that you use, your panel will be going through the validity of the reference if it is related to the research that you are conducting. And the panel does this because they want to check if what you placed in your manuscript, in your discussion, was really included in your reference. And then they want to make sure there are panelists who goes farther than checking the reference and checks the actual reference if what you cited is what is really reflected in the reference. So talagang chine-check nila yan. Merong mga panel na talagang mabusisi, i-check nila hindi lang yung year, talagang bubuksan pa nila yung reference ninyo, whether it's a website, whether it's a web page, or if it is a literature and study that is based in the library, they will ask and double check, okay, if this is really existing. Okay, so that is the basis of number 3, to help the reader. The reader refers usually to your panelists during the discussion, locate the entry in the reference list. So they will just try to coincide to establish if these citations really exist and are reflected in your references. So basically, these are the importance of in-text citations in your research paper. Now, we go on to the actual implementation of these in-text citation in your manuscript. So as you can see, we have an actual example used in a manuscript, and you can already see the example that we presented, which is parenthetical and narrative. So this one, if I'm going to ask you on the first paragraph, you have, furthermore, Centeno 2021 suggested, this is included in the discussion. This is what we mean by it is intertwined and included in the discussion. So you have the surname outside of the parentheses and it is intertwined with the discussion. So this is what we call the narrative citation. So again, going back to the definition, narrative citation is intertwined with the initial discussion where the author's surname is presented and the date of publication is in the parentheses. So this matches our definition of narrative citation. So let's put a mark on this one. as letter N, narrative. Okay, and then, if you're going to go through the paragraph, let's go through them. Additionally, the teacher's ICT competence in establishing and so on and so forth. And then, at the last part, you have Kaluza 2018. So, Kaluza 2018, wherein the surname of the author and the year it was published are both in a parenthesis and are placed at the last part of the discussion. So this will now be classified as parenthetical. Okay? And this is the definition that we discussed earlier. So this one is classified as parenthetical. Okay. Again, I have another example or set of examples that I prepared. So here, you can see that there are already red marks that we can use. So here, we can see examples of an actual manuscript wherein the citations that we discussed are presented. So you have Little 2003, which is located at the latter part of the discussion. And then we have two surnames of authors. This is Tria and Cobalius 2020. And then we have another wherein I'm going to use this part, wherein the first one, Centeno 2021 is included in the discussion. So again, you are already familiar with the discussion, with the definition in our initial discussion. If the citation is intertwined, ibig sabihin nasa loob ng discussion, you can already identify the type of citation that was used. This is another one. Okay? And again, another one. And hopefully you can identify them as we go through. And then another one is in the latter part of the discussion. Et al means and company. Another is in the initial part of the discussion. And then again, you have initial part of the discussion, Batanero et al and company. And then here we have another one. According to India Today, so this is either a journal or a newspaper, and then the publication or the year it was published, and then again from the initial discussion or intertwined discussion, nandito naman yung sa latter part, yung susunod, Ilomaki, El Cantosalo, and Lakala 2011. And another example that we have is on the latter part again, Redeker 2017, and then another discussion is Masariegos 2020. So basically, you already have an idea based on this actual manuscript that I presented to you with regard to the discussion of in-text citation na parenthetical and narrative citation. So I hope you were able to, you were enlightened with the discussion that we had. Kasi kung titignan nyo, simple lang. Tandaan nyo lang itong mga format na ito. And then kung saan sila makikita. Sino yung nasa harap, yung intertwined with the discussion, included in the initial discussion. Sino yung nasa huli na naka-indicate yung surname and name within the parenthesis. Okay, so make sure that you'll be able to differentiate the two, and basically if you do them over and over again, madali na lang silang tandaan at madali na lang silang gamitin doon sa actual manuscript ninyo. And do not forget, after citing all of this, do not forget to make sure, the last reminder, the last tip, to make sure that all of them, all citations should be reflected in your reference. Okay? So, thank you very much, everyone, for listening to this particular discussion on the different types of in-text citation, specifically the use of parenthetical and narrative and their differences, and where you should put them or place them inside your manuscript. Again, please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Doc Ed Padama and click that notification bell to alert you when a new video has been uploaded. Thank you very much, everyone. Stay safe and God bless. I will see you on our next video. Keep learning, everyone. Bye.